waiting to look, waiting for everything to come up. And as soon as it says, okay, we're on LinkedIn, and let's see if we see us and restream. And we're waiting. All right, we are streaming. So let's count backwards, Mr. Dwayne B. Let's count backwards from 10 together, and then I'll play the music. You ready? Here we go. 10,
10,
9,
9,
8.
8,
I have an echo. 7,
7,
6,
6,
5,
5,
4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1. Here we
1.
go.
Blast off.
Can you hear
Whoa,
it?
I can.
Oh, he's dancing. I didn't even have to ask. Oh my. He stole my heart. A cool kid. Hanging with the inset. Oh, you're in. Looking real.
I was
Cool.
just celebrating my son's wedding last week, so I got used to dancing again.
Wonderful. Here we go. Drum roll coming up. There's the bridge. My drums are in the other room. Bop, 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 bop. Thank you very much. That was my lyrics to So You Want to Be. And my good friend Serge Hoffman in Paris composed the music and sings the lyrics for me. I'm Bonnie
Wow.
D. Very happy to be here with my new cool dude, Dwayne Brenna. I'll mention his last name once. Maybe it'll sneak in a couple of times. He's Dwayne B. I'm Bonnie D. And Dwayne, I hope this doesn't upset you, but you're cool dude number 39. Is that okay?
Oh my. Yeah, not number one, hey?
No, no,
Okay.
I started this show in November and it's you're number 39, but I'm very happy to have you here. Just let's chat for a couple seconds before I go to the opening poem, which I've created just for you. So tell me something. Where are you and what's the weather? Everybody wants to know. How hot is it up there? Go ahead.
It's not too hot today. We've had hot days, and we had a thunderstorm last night that I was sure a lightning strike hit my house. The house just shook last night,
Oh,
and but nothing lit on fire. And my computer went down for a while,
okay.
but we're back.
Good. Well, I'm in East Tennessee. You're in, where are you? Saskatoon? Is that the name of the place?
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada,
I
right
didn't
on
know you
the.
could I didn't know you could say the both of those in the same sentence. Am I allowed to say Saskatchewan and Saskatoon in the same sentence?
You can,
Okay,
you can.
thank you.
It's inadvisable. But
I didn't realize that. I say it once. I met you through our mutual connection, Mickey Mickelson, who is a wonderful PR agent. He's Creative Edge PR based in Canada, and I meet a lot of wonderful authors like you, a lot of your colleagues, and you've been on several of my other shows. And I pick up the Canadian, the pronunciation, and I think you said house. I got a little house in there, and I get processed sometimes and a boot. I do say a boot.
do I say a boot? Is
I
that
don't
what I
know. Do
say?
you? This
I'll
is
try
this
to
is
say
a
about.
this is a quiz. No, just do it the way you want to do. So here we are on We Dish Two, Saucy Dame and Cool Dude. I'm the Saucy Dame, still am, and Dwayne B has agreed to be my newest cool dude, and we're just gonna have fun talking about music and life and entertainment. And I have some interview topics for him. Let's say conversation topics. I don't like the word interview. Conversation topics that we're both going to be dishing on. So I'm going to open right now with. Let me get rid of the music here, and I'm going to open Dwayne, with an introduction that I sincerely hope you like. It was created, customized for you by me and my cohort, my colleague, my collaborator. She's French, and her name is Sylvie, and she's very talented. And I'll introduce you to her later. She's not going to be on the show. So here we go.
Oh,
I hope you like this. We could wave hello, by the way. Wave hello. LinkedIn. Nobody's there right now. Come on. We need somebody from YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. We're on. Okay. Here we go. You may know us well, Bonnie D and Dwayne B to Brenna. Seasoned in life, and we love what we do. From social channels, virtual embrace, we love sharing our insights in this special space. Now on We Dish, we're here to play, lightening up life in our uniquely fresh way. Welcoming Dwayne B, a truly cool dude. Here's my rhyming intro. He'll add more with attitude. Here we go. In prairie born Spalding, where wheat fields run wide, Dwayne Brenna's roots took hold on his grandpa's old stride. Among golden acres and open sky gleam, Dwayne dreamed up bold stories and chased every dream. A teacher named Terry first spotted his spark. Young Dwayne's pen ignited and left quite a mark. sold his first tale while still fresh out of school to the Western producer, proving writing was cool. At the U of Sask, his word craft took flight, with H.V. Weeks spinning True Confessions delight. No shame in 5 scandals at 75 bucks. Dwayne learned wild tales could earn more than just luck. Though Virginia beckoned with writerly fame, Dwayne stayed near the prairie that whispered his name. Dwayne, Dwayne, Dwayne. He studied and he staged, then with courage and will, he joined Stratford's finest, his first major thrill. Back to Saskatoon with his degrees complete, Dwayne taught English and theater, a passionate feat. A PhD earned in London's grand halls, while stories kept flowing through scholarly calls. Across the globe, yeah, I hope you're enjoying this. Do you know who this person is? Across the globe, his reach would extend to India, Costa Rica. He'd teach and befriend. Dwayne mastered the mask, both the comic and the deep, and sowed global exchanges for students to reap. He led study trips to Avon and Thames with Shakespearean spirits and curtain call names. For 10 vibrant years, Dwayne shaped eager minds through sonnets, soliloquies, and theatrical finds. Dwayne's voice graced the airwaves. CBC heard the proof with Eddie Gustafson tales played under each roof. 10 books later, in prose, verse, and lore, Dwayne's stories still shimmer, still echo, still soar. He's acted with legends from Ironside's Stare to Macbeth's dark madness beneath Saskatoon air. Though fame found his face on both stage and on screen, Dwayne's love for his craft stayed heartfelt and serene. Now with Beverly in Saskatoon's glow, 3 sons by their side, life continues to flow. Their eldest son, recently wed, what a momentous date. Dwayne's still at the plate. He's always first rate. What do you think?
Oh, that's beautiful. I have tears in my eyes.
I'm glad. Did you recognize this person?
No, that wasn't me, but it's great.
I'm glad. I'm gonna finish the line here now. We're here on We Dish, chatting on life's score, culture, music, food, and oh so much more. Join us live or on demand, day or night. We're not going to be here. That's why they invented on demand. And enjoy our dishing with shared delight. Meet us for real here in our live streaming glow. Comments are welcome. Just play nice. We know who you are. We know. We Dish, 2 Saucy Dame and Cool Dude 2, Bonnie D and Dwayne B, dishing on life's fun, pour vous, a little French. So what'd you think?
I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was lovely. I felt like number one, even though I'm only 39.
Today you're my number one cool dude. I absolutely will go with that. I absolutely will go with that. Thank you very much, Dwayne. Is there anything? I know this was a massive lifespan we covered here. Is there anything, any highlights you'd like to talk about a little more? Anything you'd like to tell us more? The acting, the teaching, the traveling. Anything you want to talk about?
You covered almost everything, but you mentioned my son's wedding, which was just last week, and he married an amazing woman. She's got a degree in engineering, a degree in law, and a library science degree. So yeah, she's an amazing girl, and so it was just such a pleasure to be there and to give my son away to her.
That's lovely.
The wedding took place in a national park here in Canada, up at Waskesiu Lake, which is the national park that Grey Owl founded. I don't know if that name means much to people in the States, but Grey Owl was the first, probably one of the first pretendians. He was an Englishman who dressed up as a Cree man and championed national parks and nature altogether. So yeah, it was an interesting place to have a wedding.
Very, very cool. I hope the weather was amenable. Yes,
it was okay. It rained a little, but not too much, and kept it nice and cool in the hall where the wedding took place. So yeah, it was good.
Lovely. Sounds like your daughter-in-law is a lifelong learner, a triple L. Yes, all those degrees.
I think that's correct.
Yeah,
I think that's what she will be. She's very young still. She's only probably 30 years old. So
well, yeah. That's an inquisitive mind and a lust for knowledge and for dealing with the world. That sounds like a very interesting comment. Well, congratulations to your family and your son. Tell them Aunt Bonnie said best wishes.
I
Okay.
will, and I'll show them this podcast
We
too.
haven't even barely started yet, kid. We got a lot more to show here. I can call you kid. That's okay. So I would like to know about your music, and then I'll tell you mine. Some of the favorite songs, songs that you think maybe defined you as a cool dude, or just make you smile or dance. By the way, I was really thrilled when you started dancing to my opening music. I usually have to ask my guests, and you were just on the dance floor there. I said, "Oh, this guy's really cool." Anyway, what are your favorite songs? Tell us a couple.
A couple. Well, I'd have to start with "A Case of You" by Joni Mitchell.
Ooh.
One of my favorites because it's apparently about Leonard Cohen, a
Oh,
Canadian poet who
oh
became
yes,
a
we know who he is.
songwriter himself. Yeah, okay,
Yes, we know.
and it was about their breakup. At one point, she talks about being in a bar in Los Angeles
Oh,
with him, and she draws a flag of Canada with his picture on it. But it's a heartfelt piece. Joni Mitchell came from Saskatoon. That's a little known fact, and in fact, her father and mother used to have a house about 4 blocks from where I am now in Saskatoon. I don't
that's
know
some
if they're still
history.
alive, but I would
Yeah,
see Joni now and then. She would come to Saskatoon to see her parents, and she would come to plays and things. And so
nice.
I got to see her a fair bit and felt a real connection with it. But yeah, the
Very
song,
talented woman. Talented,
oh,
talented woman.
oh, yeah, beautiful, and still out there doing it too.
Well, you
So
know, she had a stroke a few years ago and she was on, I think it was the Grammys 2 years ago, came out in a wheelchair and she was able to sing one of her most iconic songs. She had to teach herself to speak and sing again
wow,
post-stroke. And I don't think there was a dry eye on in the viewing audience or in the crowd. But she
yeah,
apparently is an octave lower than she used to be. But she was, I can't remember what song, but one of her most famous songs. It was a Big Yellow Taxi, which is one of my favorites. But
yeah.
she was, she certainly has left a mark on so many people's lives. Her music is just, it just grabs you, doesn't it, Dwayne? Just gets
It
you.
does. There's
Yeah.
a song called "Raised on Robbery," which I don't know if people know much about, but it's part of it's set in. There's a reference to the Empire Hotel, which is in Regina, Saskatchewan.
Hmm.
And there's well, it's not a famous hotel; it's just an old hotel, but I think it's where folkies hung out back in the day.
Famous
But
in the song.
I'm not sure if this makes me cool because I'm mostly interested in folk music. I have
Well,
to say
that's,
that to
hey,
you.
that's your cool. Nobody tells you how to. I'm a disco girl. I'm a disco baby. So, you know, nobody tells
Oh,
me, oh, that's not cool. It's cool for me. So tell us about more of the folk music you like. Go ahead.
oh, well, I do like Gordy Lightfoot. Gordon Lightfoot
We
was
don't get we
well,
don't get to call him Gordy. He's Gordon to us, okay?
yeah. Well, he gave me permit. No, I don't know Gordon Lightfoot. I actually dated at one point a jazz singer in Toronto when I was living there, and she got invited to Gordon Lightfoot's mansion. And she said to me, "I'm sorry, but I can't bring you with me." So, and I was a big, big fan, and so it kind of was
That's
the
really
beginning of the
mean.
end for
That's
this
really
woman and
mean. Really mean.
I.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I thought so too.
So you almost,
Uh,
you know who Joni Mitchell is, you met her, but you almost met Gordon Lightfoot. Okay, we'll take it. You're very cool, even by proximity, Dwayne. You're
yeah,
cool by
well,
proximity.
I was close enough to be in the same concert hall with him.
There you
I
go.
was sitting in the audience.
What are some of his favorite songs that you like? The
Well,
songs he's done.
if you could read my mind
Oh,
is my favorite,
yes.
partly because it was I don't know if this is a movie. There was a movie called Paperback Hero
Mm-hmm.
that was written and produced in Saskatchewan. It had Keir Dullea as the main
I
star.
remember Keir Delay.
Yeah,
I
Keir
remember
Dullea
him. Sure.
and several local people. I mean, there were even some guys that I used to play hockey with who got brought onto the movie because they were good hockey players, and there are many
Mm-hmm.
hockey scenes in the movie. But the movie starts with a car driving through a wheat field, and Gordon Lightfoot's song is playing, and I was just a kid. This was back in 1973 or so, thereabouts, and I
Okay.
remember
A
thinking that,
boots? I heard the a
yeah,
boots.
they're a
A
boot.
boots. Yeah, a boots. They're boots. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I remember thinking that, you could actually make a movie in a place like where I came from, which I never
Hmm.
thought was possible before that.
Yeah.
I just, yeah, I sat through it's, I mean, I don't know if the movie ages well, but
Well,
for me in 1973, it was
the
good.
song is a classic. It's a beautiful, if you could read my mind, right? What a
Yeah,
tale the thoughts would tell. Beautiful.
yeah,
Like an
yeah,
old time
gorgeous.
movie. Isn't that one of the lyrics? Yes, I think
Yes,
so. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I remember it very well. Oh,
yeah.
lovely. Give me a couple more songs. What do you got?
Well, I've got one that's not a folk song. Actually, it's 5 Long Years by Colin James. Um, don't know if you know it, but it's a kind of a relentless rock and roll beat. Colin James grew up in my home province here, and in fact,
Okay.
in 1985, I was in a play with him.
Oh,
He was brought on as a musician in a play called The Laughin' Jack Rivers Show, which toured the province. And it was
okay.
about a country musician, but Colin was never really a country musician. And I remember, like, I knew he was a good guitar player. He was only about 17 at the time. And I remember one night in Saskatoon, Queen Ida and her Bon Temps Zydeco band came to the performance, came to watch our show. And Colin normally he had a little solo right in the middle of one song. That solo lasted about 5 minutes when Queen Ida was there, and it was Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton, all
Oh,
rolled into one.
oh, must have been exciting.
And I
Exciting.
remember thinking he didn't go by the name Colin James. I think he took that name from another rock star. He was Colin Munn back then. Wasn't even the same guy, same name. But I remember thinking, oh, this guy's got a future.
And here you
And
are talking about him all these years later, right?
yeah, yeah, 5 Long Years, and
Talk about the
I love
future.
you just the same is the
Oh,
song.
cool.
It's it's a beautiful rock song.
That's nice.
Uh, my last one would be Stan Rogers. There's an artist by the name of Stan Rogers who, again, a folkie, who sadly died in an airplane accident back in the day. But he had an album that was iconic here in Canada, and one of his songs was called "The Northwest Passage."
Okay.
And I remember, I when I was a student in London, I I was living in a student house with a bunch of Australians, and we would go to cricket matches and things like that. They would bring me along because I could throw the cricket ball like a baseball. And I remember driving home from one of those matches, and this Australian guy saying to me, he said, "I never thought I'd be driving through England with a Canadian listening to this Northwest Passage song on the cassette deck." But that's
Cassette
what we
deck.
were
That
doing.
that documents it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Very.
back in the day.
Did you ever have a Walkman that you walked around with, the box with the earplugs on it, with the ear?
I never did. I never did, but I should have.
I
I
think
should have
I
done.
might have somebody had some. I don't know. It was my family or friends. Somebody had there a whole bunch of them. I think somewhere in my belongings. I keep moving from state to state, and I think there's an old vintage. Or maybe I could sell it on eBay anyway. Very interesting. I grew up with 45 RPM records and 78 RPM, the big long playing discs, the LPs,
Sure.
and then
Yeah.
we went to cassettes, and then we went to CDs, and then we went to digital music, and oh my goodness. You want to hear my music? You want to hear my
I
favorite music?
do.
Okay,
I
well, my
really do.
music it goes from a more modern time. You might know some of these songs. Some of them you actually might. I have a whole collection. It's eclectic. So you'll understand these. Girls Just Want to Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. You can
Oh,
understand how that
yeah.
be one of my favorites. Me and Bobby McGee from Janis Joplin and The Line. That's from 71. The Line is freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
Oh yeah.
Is there a better line than that one? And
Is
then
that a Chris Christopherson song? Did he
I
write it or
don't
did
I don't know. I'll have to
I,
look that up. I'll have to look
I
that up.
remember he sang it one time, but yeah.
Yes, I think she was not the first to sing it, and I think it was one of her last recordings, but she made it popular. Then I have a bunch of songs about, you'll listen, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Pat Benatar, goes with Respect
Yeah.
by Aretha Franklin, Respect, goes with I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor, goes with New
Oh,
Attitude by Patti LaBelle. That's part of my life story, if you get that. And
oh yeah.
then I have Leslie Gore's You Don't Own Me, You Don't Own Me. That was a song of
Oh
independence.
yeah.
And Helen Reddy's I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I used to teach disco. I was a disco queen back in the day and living in Eugene, Oregon. And I loved Donna Summer, her music. Unfortunately, she left
Oh
us
my.
way too
Yeah.
soon. She passed from cancer way
Mm.
too soon. And she was a force of nature in that world with her voice and her presence. And her discography, Dwayne, is part of the story of my life. I say this on every show. So if people are regular listeners say, Bonnie, would you get some new songs? No, this is what I want to say. First one was She Works Hard for the Money, because I always have. Second one is
Ah, yeah.
hot
Yeah.
stuff, but I'm not a streetwalker in LA, but I've been called hot stuff. On the radio, I've been doing that for 20 years now. I still call this radio. No More Tears, Enough is Enough. I think that was a duet with Streisand. That was one of her. And Streisand is releasing another duets album very soon. And there's a big article in the Times about that. Another one is
Yeah.
Last Dance, Last Chance for Love. And I used to have a professional dance partner and I taught hundreds of people, but now I just dance in my kitchen. So I don't think it's the last dance, but it's not that dance anymore. Then there's I Feel Love, which is from the I Feel Love, and that had that disco machine in the background, Giorgio Moroder's machine. And then the last one is Heaven Knows, which is from the MacArthur Park Suite that Donna Summer did. I think it was 23 minutes long. And one of the
Wow.
songs was Heaven Knows, da, 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 Heaven Knows just how much I love you. And that was I did a Disco Hawaii contest with my professional partner to that song years ago.
Cool.
So
Wow. Didn't she have a set a record for having the most double albums that hit number one?
Donna
I think there
Summer?
was some. I
Donna
think
Summer?
so.
I'll have to look
Yeah.
that up. You're giving me all my homework assignments here. I'll have to look
Oh
that up.
well, there you go.
But you know
Yeah,
what? I
no, I mean,
also, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
the other thing about her was that people don't know is that she was, but theater people know this, is that she was in an early production of Hair. And in fact, took the production to Germany where she learned German and started singing in German.
I think I remember reading that years ago.
Yeah,
Wow. I didn't think
yeah.
you would even know anything about Donna Summer. You're my historian now. That's really cool. Well,
You can call me anytime.
I will. I loved her music. I really loved her music. And the title, one day I was just looking at her list of songs and I said, these are the story of part of my life. If I put them
Yeah,
together, the titles tell a story. Not just each individual song, but if you string the discography together, it's yes, 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 and yes. So yeah,
you
so
could make a jukebox musical out of this, if you
I
strung
could
those songs together.
I'd
And
have to
mind
get
you,
rights. I'd have to buy the rights. Yeah,
yeah,
that would take a while. By the way, I also have the list of a couple of my favorites from the top Hot 100 songs of 1978, which was the disco era. You want to hear a couple of those?
I do.
How about the Bee Gees, Night Fever,
Oh,
Staying
of course.
Alive, How Deep Is Your Love, Brother Andy Gibbs shadow dancing. I used to teach dancing to shadow dancing. It was one of the songs I did for my students.
Wow.
Debbie Boone, you light up my life. Remember that?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Commodores, once, twice, three times a lady. Remember that
Oh,
one?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John singing "You're the One That I Want." Ba ba da ba. I'm not supposed to sing on the show. How about the Rolling Stones? I was a drummer in a Motown band a couple years ago. I still have my drums and my boots and my
Oh,
sticks. And
yeah.
the Rolling Stones in that year released "Miss You." Da 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 dum da 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 dum. And I miss
And
great song to drum to. And then
would
just
have
one
been
more.
Charlie Watts.
Yeah,
Charlie Watts on the drum for that, I
yeah, yeah, and Bonnie D on the drums. That's the best we could afford. And one more, Barry Manilow, two songs that year. Can't Smile Without You Can't
Oh
smile.
yeah.
And the other one was at the Copacabana. Yeah, great song. And I did go on a date to the real Copa in New York once, years ago. They sat us near the kitchen
Wow.
because we were so young. I think we were. It was a New Year's Eve, and I think because we were 18 years old and just legal age, they stuck us by the kitchen door. But I saw the
What
show.
what
Yeah.
was it like? Did anybody get shot that night?
No,
I
they
think
didn't write
that's
the
in the
song.
song.
They didn't write the song that night. No, no, no. So you and I have some interesting music, and I'm a big fan of Joni Mitchell, obviously. Carly Simon is another one, wrote some really
Oh
interesting
yeah.
songs. So yeah. Well, that was good. So we're gonna go into the segment of the show called OTT Off the Top. And I sent
Oh,
you a
okay.
list. I know. I hope you're ready. You have your seatbelt on? I got mine on here. I'm gonna pick a couple of topics and I'll pose them to you, and then I'll give you my answers as well. So it's a conversation, and we might get interrupted by a phone call. I'm not sure, but you'll forgive me, even though we're live. Sometimes I get interrupted. So, how do you start your day? Is it a drink? Is it food? What powers you, Mr. Dwayne B? What gets you? What gives you the energy to be who you are all day? What do you think?
I go for a smoothie. I like to make it's a banana
Oh,
and some
please stop,
blueberries.
stop, stop, stop. My drink is a banana smoothie. How dare
Oh
you?
no.
Yes, it is. Go ahead. Give me yours. Yours is different than mine. Go ahead. I'm teasing you. Go ahead, but it's true.
A smoothie and some wheat germ in there
Okay, yours is
and
healthier than
oat
mine.
milk. I use oat
Oh,
milk these
oh,
days.
aren't you a healthy person?
I'm
Mine
trying.
is 1% milk, a couple of ice cubes, a little agave syrup instead of sugar, some
Ooh,
frozen sliced strawberries to keep it cold, a
nice.
banana medium. It has to be reasonably ripe, but not mushy and not mushy. It has to be still in the skin and not falling apart and nothing icky inside of it. It takes me 20 minutes to pick 9 bananas every week at the grocery store. If you come to here to Loudon, Tennessee, you'll say, "Who's that woman all dressed in black with the red boots? Why is she picking bananas for 20 minutes?" Because I want just exactly a couple green, couple yellow, nothing that's already spotty because they got to last a week. So anyway, and once in a while, if I'm really feeling risque, I'll put a little bit of vanilla ice cream into it.
Ooh, nice. I've been known to do that as well. The
Yes.
ice cream thing.
And I have
Yeah.
a personal blender that only takes 12 ounces, and it's a pulse blender. It's a Hamilton Beach, and you push the pulse and you go push on and off. It doesn't have an on-off switch, so you pulse it, and then you take the plastic top off and you put your straw in and you drink it right out of the container.
Yeah, I have a little one like that too. I wore my other one out.
Oh,
So I
I'm on
just
my fourth one. Don't worry about it. I've got the old ones in the closet when they're really bad, when the motors go blah, or when they leak all
yeah.
over the place. Usually the cup leaks. I throw them out or I keep them for sculptures or something like that. I know. Okay, so
Well, I
now
like your recipe better, actually.
why?
I'm gonna start with the agave syrup. I think
Oh,
that's gonna be
it
good.
it's raw. You buy it in the supermarket in the baking aisle above where all the sugar is on the top shelf, usually in mine, and it's like a caramel color. It's a beautiful color in a clear plastic bottle, and it says raw agave.
Ah,
I think the
I'll
the
look for it.
label is blue. I'll send you a picture of the bottle, and it's really nice. It has a almost a caramelized sugar flavor to it. It's not sweet. It has a flavor of a flavor in it. It's not just plain sugar. It
Yeah,
has personality, like you and me.
yeah.
Okay, next question. Let's see. Okay. Well, I know you've been around the world, so I'm not going to ask you what your favorite vacation places are. Let's go with, oh, Dwayne, it's the first time I've asked this on the show. If you could be a superhero, who would you be? Would it be somebody from the movies or from the Marvel universe, or would you make up your own? So who would you be?
I don't know. I kind of like Batman. I've always been a Batman guy. I remember I had a coat with the Batman insignia on it when I was a
Batman.
little kid.
Da da
Yeah.
da 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 da.
And I one time went to see Frank Gorshin live, who played what, the Riddler, the Joker? I can't remember, but he was
Uh,
very good.
I think I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't see all those movies. So yeah, we'll you and I have a bunch of homework to do afterwards. I think my super, but one of my guests coming up on one of my shows in a couple weeks has picked Peter Pan as their quote for what we do quotes. No, it was yesterday's quote. It was this week's show, and the quote was Peter Pan. uh, go till the second right after morning and all the way to the right, something like I'm botching it, but it's a beautiful quote. And when I looked it up and did the research from J.M. Barrie's original Peter Pan, the boy who never grew up, they talked about Tinker Bell, and Tinker Bell was a badass little pixie. And if I had to be a, and she was everywhere, and she was very demanding and moody. If I had to be everywhere and moody and had to have, I think I'd want to be a Tinker Bell and kind of fly around. So I don't know if that's a super. Let's forget that one. I threw that one in just for the heck of it. Oh my goodness! Hold on, the phone's ringing. Let's see, who is it? Oh, it's Steven Spielberg. Okay, no, I'm here with Dwayne. No, Quentin Tarantino, is he? Scorsese? You've got Clint Eastwood on the phone? Francis Ford Coppola? Christopher Nolan? Wait a minute, I hear somebody. Is that Seth MacFarlane? Is that Aaron Sorkin? I think we have Michelle and Robert King and Shonda Rhimes. It's a very busy. What do you want? All right, I'll ask him. Okay, we'll let you know. Thank you very much. Okay, they got together. They heard you were going to be on my show today, Dwayne B, and they said
Ah,
they want to make, they're battling over who's going to get to make a movie about you, not a biopic, but it could be a drama, a time travel movie, it could be comedy, sci-fi, a thriller, romance, a musical, a fantasy, action. And they want to know, do you want them to make a movie, a feature movie, or a TV series? Or limited series, like 8 episodes or ongoing for several years with a 5-year arc. So what's your pleasure? And
yeah.
we want to know, what would you title the story and who would play you? That's all.
Okay. Well, I've been watching limited series on TV for the last little while, and I've really enjoyed them.
Hmm.
So I think, an 8 episode. I think I'm worth 8 episodes. I
Oh,
don't know. Maybe
definitely.
not.
You are.
Maybe not.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me see. Who's it? James Cameron just said yes, he could do 8 episodes. And he's a movie guy, but he'll work with the Kings, Robert and Michelle King, or even Seth MacFarlane. They want to work together. Okay, hold on. I'll get back to you. All right, so keep going. What would you
Sweet.
title it?
What I think I would title it "Failing Better" or something like
Okay.
that.
Why?
Seems
That's
to
an
me.
intriguing title.
se-
Why?
Seems to me. I don't know. It seems to me that when you talk about a superhero, it seems to me that my superpower has always been my ability to accept failure. I've had a lot of it in my life.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
especially from in the writing genre.
Mm-hmm.
You get rejection slips. Well, I think in the last year I must have had at least 35 rejection slips from publishers
What?
on but then
What?
again, I just got a novel accepted that's going to be published next February. Just got it accepted about 3 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
With
Wonderful. What's the title of the novel?
the title of the novel is The Laundryman. It's
Could that be the title of your limited TV show?
well, I wish I could give myself such a dramatic title, but yeah, maybe
Okay. And who would
if I
play you?
start doing my laundry.
Who would play you?
Oh, I'm you know I'm caught between Adam Sandler and I've got a buddy who's actually in the movies. This guy I graduated university with, a guy named Kim Coates. Uh,
Okay.
he was in Sons of Anarchy, had a big role in that. So that's a TV show. But also Black Hawk Down. He played Grizz in Black Hawk Down. And Coatsy and I go way back. He grew up here in Saskatoon as well. Um, and we did a show at the Edinburgh Fringe together in Scotland. I remember, after one of the shows going to a pub, we thought we should go to a Scottish pub. And we got there and there were caricatures drawn on the wall of the pub behind the bar. And we sat there and looked at those caricatures and wondered what they were all about. They were of people. And finally we said to the bartender, what are these caricatures? And he said, well, look around you. And we looked, and it was caricatures of all the patrons in the bar. Somebody had
Oh,
taken the time to
how
draw them on the wall.
cool. How cool. And by
Yeah,
the way, we pronounce it caricature. I've never heard of caricature, but I figured that was the same word. Caricature. Oh,
another Canadianism.
I've heard of moot and host and all process, but never a caricature. Wow, that's like aluminium from the, never mind, leave that one alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Wow. So he would play you think, in the movie, in the
He
TV
would
show?
tell you, if you asked him, he would tell you he's far too good looking to play me, but don't
Oh,
believe him.
come on. Now,
I knew him way back when.
which director did you say you wanted? Who'd you say you wanted for your
I,
director?
I think you know it. Who's the guy that directed Happy Gilmore? I want that guy. I don't even know
What
who it
was it?
is.
Was it well, that's Adam Sandler's company, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So we have to look that up. Let's see. You want me to look it up right now? Why, and what would it be? Comedy, drama, thriller, time travel? What would it be? Let me see.
definitely comedy. I don't think
All
there's
right, let me
a lot of
see.
drama there.
Who directed, and what is it? Happy Gilmore was the movie? Gilmore.
Yeah.
I misspelled it 25 different ways. Who directed Happy Gilmore? One sec. Come on, Bonnie, you can do this. Okay, let's see. Who directed Happy Gilmore? Dennis Dugan.
Oh, okay.
Here's a picture.
Wow. He looks like a guy that would be easy to work with. I like him already.
Okay, well, I'll have to add him to my list then for the show. That's very interesting. Yes, Happy Gilmore, 1996 American sports comedy film directed by Dennis Dugan, produced by Robert Simons, and starring Adam Sandler in the title role with Christopher McDonald, Julie
Yeah.
Bowen, and Carl Weathers. What a cast!
Yeah. And Bob
Oh,
Barker. There was a great scene where Bob Barker and Adam Sandler have a fight on the golf course, and Bob takes him to school on this. Bob does a little jujitsu on him and
looking at the
beats
cast here,
Adam.
Adam Sandler, Christopher McDonald, Julie Bowen, Frances Bay, I know who she is, Carl Weathers, Alan Covert, Richard Kyle, Dennis Dugan. The director played Doug Thompson, the commissioner of the golf tour. He was in the movie. Joe Flaherty, and I don't see anything about
Ooh,
anybody else. But Ben Stiller is uncredited for his role as abusive orderly Hal. Robert Smigel is the IRS agent. Will Sasso and DJ Jackson, two names, are the movers who challenge Happy at golf. There you go.
okay.
Interesting.
Christopher McDonald is lovely in
Yes,
just
he
about
is.
everything he does too.
Yes, he is. He's a powerful presence in all of his movies and TV shows. I
Yeah.
know who he is. Well,
I,
mine would be a comedy and it would be a musical and Reba McEntire would play me and she would write the score and sing and it wouldn't be quite so country, but we'd have to get a little disco in there and it would be called Heaven Knows or She Works Hard for the Money. Either one.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Or maybe
So
Hot Stuff.
Reba,
Reba.
hey, did she ever sing any disco like tunes?
She has some good country slash rock tunes, I think, Reba. So yeah, I think I'm trying to think if I ever used one of her songs for one of my TV shows for the theme song. I think I did. Let's give him something to talk about. Was that Reba?
Oh, maybe. I'm not
Was that
sure.
something to talk? Oh God, no, I don't usually look so much up. Let's give him something to talk about. Talk about. Audience, just bear with me here. I spelled that one right. Something to talk about. Who wrote it? Something to talk about. Direct. It's a movie. It's a movie. I'm getting the movie. I'm not getting the song. Here's the film. 1995. Bonnie Raitt. Sorry, the other
Oh,
one.
Bonnie
You
Raitt.
know what? Bonnie
Okay.
Raitt could play me with the red hair and the streak. Yeah, Bonnie Raitt
Oh,
could
she
play me.
could. Yeah.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
really could. Yep. I'll have to.
I just heard a good Reba song though. It was what was it? Whoever's in New England. Do you know that song?
No.
It's one of the saddest songs I've heard. I heard it on
Oh.
American Idol,
Oh.
or where was it? American Idol or The Voice? It must have been The
Okay. It
Voice.
must have been the voice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and it's a song about a housewife left at home while her husband goes to New England and apparently
Oh.
has an affair.
Oh.
It is the saddest song and the
Oh.
saddest video that goes with it.
I stay away from sad songs because I don't like to cry alone. I live alone and I don't like to cry. So I can't even listen to I watch a lot of French detective procedurals in the French language. And the
Ah,
benefit of that is I used to be fluent in French and not so much anymore. So you have to watch the screen. You can't be doing something because I can't understand everything they're saying because they speak so beautifully and so fast. So what was I trying to tell you? So sometimes they have very romantic theme music for the intros to these shows, and I have to fast forward past skip intro because I'm sitting there in the dude. Oh no. So yeah, I'm very susceptible to music. Very, very. Are you? When the music gets to you, hits you emotionally very hard?
Oh yeah. Sometimes, yeah, a song will just do it to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
I think we know why, because I think there's a universal going straight to the heart that music
yeah.
does. But by the way, let's go back to your show, The Laundryman or Failing Fast. What would the first episode be like? What would it would be about?
Oh man, the first episode. I don't know if I'd start with childhood. I might start with like a baseball scene. That's
Oh,
where you learn to fail really well,
there you go.
is in baseball, because you fail about 7 out of 10 times, and so that's where I think I really started to get used to failure. Come to think of it, so yeah, there'd be a baseball scene in there for
You
sure.
could name the show. The episode could be "There's No Crying in Baseball," right?
That's
From A
right.
League of Their Own, right?
Yeah,
There
yeah.
we go. See, we're just
Tom Hanks. Yeah,
pulling those
yeah.
quotes out. Yeah, there you go.
What's your
Okay.
favorite baseball movie? Do you have a favorite? I like Bull Durham a lot.
I some of the classics. Yeah, I'm not a big sports fan, but
Oh,
I those two were fine. I remember them, and yeah. What's the one? Build it and they will come.
oh, Field of
Field
Dreams.
of Dreams. That was another good one. Yeah, that's about my experience with. But in a lot of the procedurals I watch on TV, there's one called Poker Face with Natasha Lyonne. Very she is a human lie detector, and she'll look at somebody and say BS. Say like Dwayne, Dwayne, how old are you? And say I'm 23, and she just look and say BS. She knows right away if people are lying about did they commit a murder and did they do anything. Anyway, she did one at a baseball game where there was a young pitcher that nobody liked, and they managed to rig the ball thrower, the practice ball machine, so that it
Yeah.
would come at like 150 miles an hour and hit him in the head. And he was, never mind, it was
Oh.
kind of sad. But she figured out who did it. So anyway, oh, we're really getting off track here. So I tell you what, let's go to the part of the show called, now you have to please repeat this after me. It's very important to be really a cool dude. This is a test. I didn't warn you, we didn't practice. And you have to say what? This is the say what segment. Can you say that?
Say what?
I'll take it. Okay.
Would you?
That's not bad. That's not bad. One more time. Say it again.
Say what?
Getting higher there. That's good. Say what?
I'm
Okay,
trying to
good.
go high.
I liked it. I liked it. I liked it. So why don't you do one? Well, I have three. I'm going to show my article. So you want to do all three of yours, and then I'll do all three of mine, and I'll show them on the screen. Do you have anything to
Well,
display?
I have nothing to display, but I'll
Well, then
talk
just
about it if I
talk.
can.
Go ahead. Sure,
Just
please.
just tell and tell instead of
Tell and
show and
tell.
tell. But
Tell and tell.
but yeah, I mean, I was at a I go to a thing in Phoenix, Arizona most years. It's called the Nine Conference, and it's a conference of baseball writers. I really like baseball, as you can tell. And at this conference 2 years ago, they showed a documentary that had just been made about a bank robber who was also a baseball coach. And the story takes place. It was a news story. I mean, you can find articles on the web about it, but it was a guy named John Jennings, who was a little league baseball coach in Huntington Beach, California.
Hmm.
And on his team, he had the Yount brothers, Larry Yount, who has the distinction of being the only pitcher in Major League Baseball who's credited with starting a game but never threw to a batter. He got in to the warm up and hurt his arm in the warm up before he threw to the batter, and he never pitched again in a major league game. So he's credited with starting the game just because he warmed up. And of course, Robin Yount, his brother, was a famous ball player later on. Robin Yount was younger, and he was the bat boy on this little league team. But there was also Rick Dempsey was on the team, who became a catcher for the Minnesota Twins. I think he spent 23 years in the major leagues. He was quite famous. And these guys tried to get a movie made. Actually, they talked to Adam Sandler's company about trying to
Happy
make a
Madison.
movie about their coach, about
Okay.
John Jennings, who would be robbing a bank downtown 1 minute, and an hour later he would be hitting batting practice to, or throwing batting practice to these kids. And they would say they'd see the police cruisers driving around the area. And the guy was pretty successful. And apparently he was a nice man too. He would, like, if kids couldn't afford to go to a tournament, he would say, oh, I've got some money here.
He was a Robin Hood, right?
Yeah, a bit of that, you know. And
Yeah. How many robberies did he pull off before he got caught?
he pulled off 12 successfully. His 13th
There
was
you
the one
go.
that got him caught. And in fact,
Predictably.
yeah, and the team also won 12 games that year in their league and lost the 13th. So, but they did in 1963. They won the Little League World Series. Uh,
Ooh,
so
that's an accolade.
these
Serious.
guys were good back in the day,
Yeah.
even, you
Yeah.
know.
And they had
So
a good coach too.
good coach. I've always loved bank robbers, Bonnie. I don't know what it is. I went to a, I've never robbed a bank. I went to a writers' conference in Listowel, Ireland one time, and they gave a prize, and still do every year. They
Hmm.
give a prize to the best writer in the penitentiary system. So
Oh,
a convict writer,
oh,
and they did the year I was there as well. But I was told that on the first year that this prize was offered at Listowel, it was a bank robber that won the prize. He wrote a bunch of poetry, won the prize, and he had to be given the award. The award was sponsored by the Bank of Ireland. So he was given his award by the president of the Bank of Ireland.
that he was
And
robbing.
then they took him back to jail and he served out the rest of his sentence. But he got out of jail for a day to do this.
That's funny.
That is just
That is,
too good.
yeah, it is. You can't make this stuff up, right?
No, no.
So, what's your
There was
next
a
story?
case.
Yeah.
There was a case, by the way, here in Saskatoon.
Yeah. I love the way you
And this
pronounce that.
Frank Gorshin, by the way, had a lot of fun with Saskatoon, Saskatchewan when he was here,
I bet.
and I saw him. But no, in Saskatoon, there was a guy who robbed a bank here in town. And the story went that he took his ill-gotten gains and he went to Hawaii
Hmm.
and lived there for like a year or something like that, but met a girl there. And she happened to be a Canadian girl. And he fell in love with her. And after a while, he admitted to her his crime, that he had
Okay.
all this money because of this
Hmm.
bank robbery. Turns out the girl was the cashier or a cashier at the bank he robbed. She was there
No.
on the day he robbed it with a mask on, and she
No.
reported him. She phoned the authorities and reported him and got him put in jail right there in Hawaii. But
You
he now
can't
lives
make
back in
this,
Saskatoon.
Dwayne, you can't make this stuff up. You can't.
No, no.
Go ahead.
Those are my three favorite bank robbery stories right there.
I love them. Well, I don't think mine are going to hold a candle to yours. Let me go do a share here. Let me get mine pulled up here. I have some fun stuff for you. I don't know if there are any bank robber stories in here, so let me do a screen share and desktop and one. Let me clean this up. Okay, so can you see what is on my screen, sir?
Ken,
I
yes.
get a newsletter called Morning Brew, and they put the news into classified style headlines. So this one is interesting. There's a very popular series that's just been renewed called The Bear. Did you happen to see it about a restaurant and the family who runs the restaurant?
No, but I
It's
will.
it's dramatic, and there's an iconic, a classic. I think it was episode 9 of season 1 where Jamie Lee Curtis is the mother, and she has a meltdown in the kitchen at Christmas dinner with about 12 people in the other room at this 7-course, whatever, the classic Christmas dinner. Anyway, Jeremy Allen White is the award-winning star of The Bear, and this is casting the boss. The dreams you aren't comfortable bringing up, but he's playing Bruce Springsteen in a new biopic about Springsteen. So that was it. You'd have to be a
Wow.
fan of The Bear to understand. New survival technique. During the heat wave or fights on the reef, clownfish can actually shrink themselves to survive. This is wildly more successful than humans handling heat or conflict, getting upset and letting it ruin your day. This is how they present the wacky news. Found a sedan. An 80-year-old man tried to drive a Mercedes Benz down the iconic Spanish Steps in Rome. Dwayne, this is true. He got stuck halfway down. Authorities had to lift the car out with a crane. In his defense, he said he didn't see a no parking sign.
He must have been watching Mission Impossible.
You know,
I think
whoever
Tom
writes these,
Cruise does that.
I think these are very, very clever. Here's another one. A pangolin, I had to look this up, is a scaly anteater, and they're a mammal. And so they say the only mammal covered completely in scales is likely heading to the endangered species list. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service proposed moving the scaly little guys to the list to ban their import and sales. First mink, now pangolin. Next, they're going to say we can't buy any more blue whale boots. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds interesting. And the last one in this article was there's a new breath chew for canines, dogs, that reportedly reduces bad breath in just a week. It's called pup gum. And then the comment of the person who wrote this says they could have called it doggone. I don't know who writes these for the Brew Review, but I think they're very clever. These they call them wacky headlines in the classifieds. So they take news stories and they write them in two sentences and put them into little classifieds. Okay, let's go to the next one. A Michigan community. Oh, this one is in your honor. I found this and I've used this before. This is from April earlier this year. A woman owned a bookstore. Her name is, let me see, Michelle Tuplin, and Serendipity Books was moving to a bigger space, but she needed to move 9,100 books. I don't think they're all yours, Dwayne, and hundreds of boxes, and she didn't want to close. So she put out a call to the community. Could somebody please come and help me? Well, they formed a human conveyor belt stretching 350 feet from the stockroom of the current store around the corner into the new location. 300 people, including passersby, neighbors, customers. I was a 90-year-old woman, and there was a dog. And they formed two human chains, and these are pictures. And in less than
Yeah,
2 hours, they had alphabetically transferred the entire inventory. What do you think about that?
that's pretty
Alphabetically.
cool.
Isn't
Kind
that
of
cool?
reminds me,
Yeah.
yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the La Mama Playhouse in New York. They used to, at least on one occasion, after a show, when they were moving locations, which La Mama had to do from time to time because they were constantly disobeying fire laws and things like that.
Not
But they
surprised.
actually got the audience to move the tables and chairs down the street to their next building after a show.
That is funny. Well, I thought you would appreciate this. She said it was the woman who wrote this is actually a producer for Nightly News with Lester Holt, but I thought it was
Oh,
an interesting story. The new storefront is twice the size of the old one, and they were able to do it in enough time to open on Independent Bookstore Day on April 26th. Is that cool?
that's great.
The
Yeah.
power of writing and reading. And now here's six wacky sandwiches people used to eat. And the word sandwich was coined when John Montagu, the fourth Earl of Sandwich in 1762, well, he wasn't playing baseball, Dwayne. He was in an all-night card game. And all of a sudden, rumble, 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 his tummy is bothering him. And he says to his servant, go fetch me a snack of beef between two slices of bread. And they said it wasn't the first time it had been done because there were similar dishes in Turkey and Greece. But everybody said, oh, this is really cool. We're in high society. So they named it after him, Sandwich. It spread to other social strata in Europe and then to the American colonies, and it started to appear in cookbooks in the 19th and 20th century. But here are six very strange sandwiches that people used to eat. An oyster sandwich.
Oh,
This was in an 1824 cookbook. Tabasco sauce, lemon juice, and oil to chopped oysters, put it on white bread and top with lettuce. I think I'll pass on that. The yeast sandwich. Can you imagine taking a cake of yeast and adding they don't say whether sauce is ketchup or Worcestershire, but that's what the author was get. There's a gentleman named Barry Enderwick who hosts Sandwiches of History on YouTube, and he delves
yeah.
into the history of sandwiches. So this was on his show. Pickle sandwich, pickle with whipped cream. I think I'm going to be sick. And mayonnaise and horseradish and chopped cooked beef
Ooh,
on top of, I know, it's 1916. Popcorn sandwich. You add boned sardines, Worcestershire, and tomato ketchup to form a paste with popcorn. Now you know why. Toast sandwich. Would you believe this was a real thing in 1861? They put cold toast between two slices of buttered bread, add some meat maybe, season with salt and pepper, and it actually was brought back in recent years by the UK Royal Society of Chemistry, and in Bray, Berkshire, England, at the Fat Duck restaurant, it's on the menu. A sandwich, a toast sandwich. And the last one is not so surprising, and it's got a good story, mashed potato sandwich called the greatest man sandwich in the world. And they credit the wonderful dancer and actor, I think he was a singer too, Gene Kelly. Nobody really
Yeah.
knows if he adopted it, or invented it. You take a thick layer of leftover mashed potatoes on buttered French bread. You top it with onion slices, mayonnaise, salt and pepper, and you brown it in the broiler. And one recipe says
Oh,
you should enjoy it with the nearest mug of beer.
ah.
That's the side dish. So what'd you think of those? Pretty cool?
I don't know. I think I need a mug of beer if I was going to wash down a mashed potato sandwich.
I
There's a
think
lot
so
of there's a
too.
lot of one color in there, so a lot of white stuff in that sandwich.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. A lot of yucky stuff. Well, what about the popcorn sandwich and the yeast sandwich and all of that? They're getting
Yeah, I don't
so,
know.
so
Yeah,
listen, I have a
is yeast sandwich, is that like Vegemite? Is I think Vegemite is largely yeast, right?
I'm
Very
I'm not gonna
popular
I'm not gonna be able to eat
condiment in
dinner if you
Australia.
keep talking about that. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've heard the word, but I've never looked it up. Listen, if somebody came to you, a young person, could be one of your relatives or somebody who sees you on the show today, eventually somebody will watch this. Right now, it's pretty quiet out there. Everybody's busy because it's hot and they're working. What is the day? It's Tuesday. Got to put the garbage out. Somebody would say, I want to be a cool dude like Dwayne B. What advice would you give a young person who wants to be a cool dude like you? How would they go about that?
Oh man, I don't know. I think it goes back to failing again. I
Okay,
think
go
it
ahead.
needs to be about a Zen attitude, accepting some failure and living with it, expecting nothing and appreciating everything. I saw that
Oh,
sign I think it was in a restaurant somewhere. Expect nothing, appreciate everything. I don't know if that had anything to do with the quality of the restaurant or not, but I always thought no, those are words to live by right there.
yeah, it
So
reminds
maybe
me.
that's what I'd say about
Reminds me sometimes in business, they say, don't overpromise, but overdeliver, similar to
yeah,
maybe a
yeah.
corollary. And what would you say about writing and traveling? Would you tell them to keep their mind open and see the world, or is that not part of being a cool dude? What do you think?
Oh, gee, about writing and I don't know. I mean, for my money, life is about process, and writing is about process,
You
whatever
can say,
you,
I know, I already told
and
you you're
it's,
Canadian. You can say process.
but it is. I mean, if you are going to try to be a writer and you want to have fun at it, you better learn to enjoy the process. You better
Yeah.
because often it takes a lot of time and trouble and rejection after that to get your work published. So you better like actually gluing your butt to a chair and living with two or three interesting characters for 6 months at a time.
Interesting.
So that's what I'd say about
Thank
writing.
you. Thank you.
Travel, I'm not so sure. I've I've gone to places, and like you say, having an open mind is important. But I've learned more from other people just in travel than than
Hmm.
I've taught. I've gone to places and taught courses, and generally, I think I've learned far more than I've ever taught anybody
Yeah.
by going to those places.
I want to talk about characters for a minute before we leave. You watched one of my plays. I wrote three romantic comedy plays when I was in New York about 8 years ago, and I produced
Yeah,
them. And I have the links if anybody wants to see them. Let me know and write me at bonnieradio@gmail.com, and I'll send you the links. But one of them was called Hail Hail, and I just want to share with you, Dwayne, that I decided one night out of the blue. I get bored in life very easily. You can tell. And I decided I wanted to write a play, and I didn't know anything about the structure, the format, how to do it. So I went online and I said, I want playwriting 101. Tell me how to do it. And all of a sudden, a bunch of websites popped up, and one said, here's a free download. It's a document. It's a Word document. and it gives the outline. How do you set up a scene? How do you say when curtain opens? And how do you describe your characters? And how do you put the open an act, close an act, and transition to the next act? And how do you set it up? And how do you write it? What does the font look like? What's the leading, the spacing between lines, and all of that? So I downloaded this thing, and a couple nights later, I started writing my first play. At 1 o'clock in the morning, I was working a full-time job, and I wrote for 3 nights in a row, and the play was done, start to finish. And the characters
Wow.
told me what to say. They just knew. They just characters said, "Okay, just keep typing. We're going to tell you what to say, what we look like, how old we are, what we're wearing, what our expressions are, our little asides." You heard the asides in it. It was a comedy, and
Yeah.
comedy with a little sadness to it, but it was interesting. And I did two versions of it. I don't know if you saw the second one. The same actors, community actors, wanted to do. I had so many people that one of them was the same in the second one, and the other two of the three characters were different. So I did two versions, and the woman who was the date, she put on a blonde wig, I think, for the second one, and we had a different driver and a different boyfriend or date in the seat with her. But what was
Okay.
interesting, Dwayne, was that they literally it just poured out of me. It just there was no stressing. There was no, oh, I add a comma here and change a word there. They told me what to say. They were already fully formed in my head, and I was the channel. It was a it was a strange experience. The second and the third plays, the same thing happened. So,
Isn't
and I,
that a beautiful thing when a
it
character takes you
is.
over like that and
It
just tells
is.
you what to say and what they're going to do? It just doesn't always happen, and sometimes when you're writing, you struggle with it, and other times it's just like, short stories can be written in like 2 days
Yep.
if you're in that zone. And
If
the
you're in
and
the
the
zone.
play, you did everything right in the play, which is
Thank you.
amazing if it was a first time try, because it's
First time.
the trajectory of these characters, from
I
a
just knew.
blind date to eventually to a divorce. I shouldn't
That's okay.
give things away,
It
but
was done in three acts that were 9 or 10 years
yeah,
apart. And I just knew it had to go up to Y2K. It had to be on the
yeah,
precipice of Y2K, which gave some texture to the plot. And then it had to be after and surviving and what did or didn't happen. So it had some historical context. But anyway, thank you for watching it. I appreciated it. I just had so much fun. And I'll send you the links. I have the links to my other ones. One was
oh please.
Whatever Lola Wants, about three ladies are celebrating the birthday of their friend Lola, and she's turning 55, which I call the age of the speed limit. That was the speed limit of the Long Island Expressway on Long
Oh,
Island and in New York. And they're trying to give her advice, and they push her to go onto a dating site. And I had five men come to the studio and do the voices of the men she was meeting online.
oh,
Actually, I think
okay.
one man did five or six voices, and I got pictures of the others, and it kept going ding ding, and all of a sudden they put her picture up and her profile up, and it was ding ding. Oh my goodness, all these men are interested in her. It was very cute, and they're sitting in her very fancy bedroom. All my plays are done on green screen in an empty studio with a green curtain, and all of the backgrounds are virtual, and
Ah,
you cannot tell. So even the taxi was virtual. So.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
Dwayne B, I'm going to play the music. Let's talk for a minute afterwards. You have been a delight. You've been a pleasure. You've been a revelation. I've learned things from you, and I've learned more words that are Canadian, including caricature. I'm gonna have to tell Mickey that I learned a word from you. I'm gonna play the outro music. We're gonna wave goodbye, and then we'll talk for a minute. So thank you to whoever watches it eventually. Bye to LinkedIn, bye to Facebook, bye to YouTube, and Facebook twice. And let's play this music, and let's go out with this. We're gonna get those Dwayne moves
Oh, are we
again.
gonna dance again?
We're
So you
dancing
wanna
again.
be
I don't want you to
I
hurt
better
yourself.
find some new moves here. Oh, this is nice.
Don't hurt yourself.
hanging with a princess,
Hanging with the inset.
looking real
Looking real. Cool.
cool and
Fine.
fine. Dancing
Wait
with
for the
a
drum roll. Wait for the bridge. Here we go.
So you wanna be
Bop, 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 bop. Thank you very much, Serge,
girl.
for singing and doing the music to my song on Bonnie D. And it has been a delight getting to know Dwayne B, Mr. Brenna, Brenna. See you soon. Bye bye. Wait.